Welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Crane, and I got Tommy Mello, the founder of A1 Garage Doors, in the house. Tommy's a friend of mine, someone who I've been able to speak on his stages at his incredible events, see his growth personally and professionally over the last couple of years, and he's inspiring a lot of people. I mean, everyone wants to be successful, right? They want to make a bunch of money, but a lot of people neglect their health in that pursuit, and that's one of the things I respect Tommy about the most is he's literally winning in all areas of life. And like the amount of focus, mental bandwidth, just energy this guy has is incredible. So I'm excited to do an interview with you today, Tommy, and ask you some questions that are going to provide insight for other people who want to achieve some of the things you've been able to achieve. So dude, thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate it. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. We were just talking offline. I want to know real quick, I might just hit you with some rapid fire questions. What are your goals, bro, for 2025? Like you can even share too, because this is going to be people who haven't seen some of your success. What have you achieved in the last couple of years in your business? And then what are your goals for 2025? I want people to understand like the way you think, man, and what you're doing in your life.
Yeah. So I kind of narrowed it down to future self, the fun I'm going to have, family, faith, finance, and fitness. And finance is the only one there that I can delegate. It's the only one. But 2022, we did 28 million of EBITDA. 2023, we did 40 million. Last year or this year, we're going to do north of 60 million. Next year, I want to be at 90 million. And people might say, well, that's a 50% growth. How do you get there? Well, these aren't by accident. We reverse engineered where we need to be to get there. Now, our goal, the company-wide goal is 78.5. How do I get to 90? Well, mostly through the right hiring and the right training. But our lead gen will triple by the end of 2025. We're just investing a lot of money. 2025 is a revenue growth year. I get very excited when I talk about A1. That's a big deal. And then, obviously finance is massive because finance allows you to, money's not everything, but I will say it gives you more opportunity. It does help. Like I just had a great breakfast from the chef, and I know I'm very, very fortunate and very humble still at the same time. But that's something I just felt like I needed to invest in if I wanted to eat right. A chef certainly helps eating organic food that's super healthy. But I got a whole list here of what my future self of 2025 looks like between sleep, water intake, the food, the cardio, the workout, the reading, journaling, the big rocks. I'm going to say thank you to 15 people a day, Bible, yoga, Pilates, just certain things down here, the breathing techniques. We're going to be measuring everything. My whole team's on board with this, including Bree. And the vision board and bucket list will be done for 2025 by the end of January. But I was 27% body fat. I had a couple of veins that were protruding that I got fixed. I had a lot of moles that I got all removed. I just decided to go all in. And I want to be the best version of myself. That would be an accident if I bumped into myself and having the best future self of myself. And it would be a real letdown if Jesus was like, here's who you were meant to be. So I think about that a lot. And, I'm going to give 110%. But the way I do that is in January, I'm having a push-up competition. I did one for cancer this month, 3,000. Now we're betting next month, me and a few guys. I think I can get to 10,000 push-ups in a month. That's a lot of push-ups.
Who are you betting with? Who are you betting with?
My COO and a guy in integrations, Jad. So
are they doing it?
If they do 8,000 and I do 10,000, they both owe me $2,000. So we're betting a buck a push-up for the difference.
Okay, I like that. So it's just you three, and
you know what? I gotta, I'll ask him. We got to go over the rules still. We're doing that actually today, and I'm like, dude, no one's gonna cheat. The only way you cheat is if you just don't do good push-ups. You know what I mean? I don't think I have to worry about them making up if they did more than they did. And then I want to add cardio in February. I want to say, guys, let's do this again, but let's add cardio and see who can do the most cardio.
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick, like the importance of, because your goals are very detailed, which is really important, and then you set these benchmarks or create like a competition that keeps you focused on the goal and like keeps it exciting. How important is that for people to have very specific, detailed goals and then to like incentivize themselves or get other people involved to keep it exciting and fun? I see you doing that all the time, and I think that's really smart.
I'm a big fan of this guy named Robert Cialdini, and he wrote the book called Influence and Persuasion and a couple other books. And I'm getting coached by his number one student, Chris Phelps. And this idea of commitment is one of the 7 main things for influence. And making a commitment and a SMART goal, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and on a time-bound basis. And so everything I do, getting to 7% body fat, is based on not a wish. Harvard did a bunch of studies that says the people who write down their goals and reverse engineer them are 300 times more likely to accomplish them. So all my stuff's written down. I whiteboard a lot, and I say, okay, what would need to happen? But here's the biggest problem, Sean, is everybody tries to go from 0 to 100%. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You just need to make a little bit of impact each day. Eat the frog, start with the hard stuff, and just get a little bit better each month, because that's when you'll start seeing and noticing the difference. It's so hard because everybody's like, January 1st, I'm going to turn it all on. I'm going to start. And it's like, no, just have a fallback plan. If I don't do an hour of cardio today, at least walk for 10 minutes. If I skip a protein meal, at least have a big thing of clean jerky. Like, if I can't do this, at least do this.
Yeah, well, people put so much pressure on themselves. They want instantaneous results. They have these big, lofty goals, and after month 1 or a couple weeks, they don't see that goal materialize, and they get discouraged, right? And they give up. How do you train someone to do that, though? Because I feel like a lot of people need to really commit and go all in. We talk about that a lot. You did, like, across the board, and it worked for you. But not everyone can do that. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone can take on. I mean, let me ask you this. Did you take baby steps, or do you feel like you just jumped right into your health journey? Because you went from someone you were overweight. I mean, you're a tall dude. You got a big frame, but you had a belly at the time, right? You were drinking. You were telling me all these things that was taking place in your life. You had a lot of stress, not the best sleep. It seems like you made a really drastic change, though, in 2024. Like, if you took a picture of you last year and then today, it's night and day from a physical standpoint.
Yeah.
But how would you describe that to somebody who like how do they take baby steps?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm one of those guys that I was always going to the gym. It didn't really matter. I just wasn't going for the full hour. I wasn't all in. I still went to the gym. It was just, I go to the gym to, notch. I'd say my sleep wasn't where it needed to be. My diet wasn't where it needed to be. And the workouts were not intense at all. It wasn't like I was writing stuff down, making sure I was moving up and taking it to complete overload every time. It was just, hey, I worked out today. You know how many fat people I see at the gym, out of shape people? I mean, they can run a long way. I mean, they're there for 2 hours, but they're so out of shape. You cannot cheat 2 days a week. You could cheat maybe 1 meal if you want, but you can't cheat. And that's the hardest thing. I'm telling you, get it done in the kitchen. And the way you get it done in the kitchen is by getting your sleep. Because when you don't sleep enough, you make bad decisions. And I think that's something that people need to really work on. The easy thing to do is get on Ozempic and just not eat. But that's not the healthy way. Everybody that gets off Ozempic gains it all back. And the stuff they do hold on to is fat. Yeah, they look a little bit better, but it's not for long-term success. I'm not saying it probably should be diagnosed to certain people for sure to just get mobility.
Yeah, I don't like the shortcuts in life because they seldom work long term. Like, you're not establishing the right mindset and habits. With Ozempic, it was created for people with diabetes to help with their insulin sensitivity. And when you lose the weight, you're losing a lot of muscle mass, which is not good for your overall health. Like, one of the leading indicators for longevity and people who get older is muscle mass. So, and the Ozempic, man, like, if you've researched it, there's all these side effects: pancreatitis, kidney failure, liver disease, like all this shit, But let's talk about the diet, because that is the hardest part for people. Like, we live in a society where people eat for comfort. Food tastes really good, and it's not healthy. Like, you gain a lot of weight. You could be going to the gym every day, but if your diet's not on point, you won't even look like it. How did you get your diet dialed in? Like, how did you develop the discipline around what you're eating before you had the private chef, before you were like really this dedicated?
Well, here's what happened. My cousin Rachel called me and said, she's really proud of me. She said, I'm reading a lot of books. I'm talking about a lot of stages. Obviously, I've done well in my career. A beautiful house, beautiful, Bree's amazing, 2 dogs. And then she said, I'm just curious, why don't you love yourself? And she said, Tommy, there's 168 hours in a week. I don't buy that you don't have enough time. If you work 50 hours, sleep 50 hours, you work out another 10 hours, you still got 60 hours left. So there's no excuse for time that's not going to be this. I'm not going to fall for that. By the way, she's got a doctorate degree in physiology and exercise and the human body and anatomy and all that. So she said, go take your shirt off in front of the mirror. She goes, I want you to really look because your eyes don't look right. It doesn't look like you're sleeping right. I know you're not eating right. You started neglecting your body for the last decade compared to how you used to look. So I think you could be better. And so after that day, I literally got teary-eyed and I said, I could be better. I'm not winning here. You know how many billionaires I see that are on drugs and commit suicide and just not happy? They're just chunky and they can't move. So that's another thing. I'm going to start going to stretch lab 3 days a week, but because now I go like once every 2 weeks. But so I ended up really getting into it. And the first thing I did at the time was I went through my phone and I said, who's the most ripped up person I know? This guy's not very big. His name's Jason. He worked at Express Flooring back in the day, but he's got like an 8-pack. I called him up and he goes, all right, you want to know my secret? He goes, let's meet up. And he goes through his diet, and this didn't work for me, the intermittent fasting, but he says, you got to go see Dr. Jerem. So Dr. Jerem did all these tests, saliva, urine, blood, just went through the whole gamut. And he found a lot of things, leaky gut. He found that my energies, I'm making something at night that I can't sleep right. That's really bad. I forget what it's called. And like the sleep was horrible. So I got the Oura ring, started tracking that. But Dr. Jerem was like, all right, this is a whole new, like, here's the deal, dude. These levels of these different things, no wonder you're not hitting the gym hard. No wonder you're not excited about life. No wonder that you got chronic pain in your back. It wasn't like horrible, but he's like, your body's not working right. He's like, when you wake up, you're lethargic. He's like, you gotta be, look at this, and look at this. So we fixed that in 90 days. And then I was like a machine. And now I'm excited about life, man. I got to tell you, if your body's not working right, I mean, I'm 41. I'm not no young buck, but I'm not old either. I can't imagine some people at 50 that just have leaky gut and their testosterone is like 300. And, they're just at night, they're not making the right stuff to get the right night's sleep.
Well, that's like 90%. That's like 90% of men in our country at that age, and the thing you said that was so like eye-opening there is when you did the blood work, you had insight and you could see your biometrics. So you could now make informed decisions. Whenever I talk to business owners and I'm trying to explain to them why blood work's so important and the benefits, I always share with them like, hey, you have a P&L for your business, right? Or you have KPIs for a reason. They're like, oh yeah, of course. I'm like, okay, but you don't have that type of insight with your health. So you don't know how to make informed decisions. You're taking these supplements and doing stuff you think that's good for you, but you don't know until you actually see these biomarkers. And that's why it's so insightful. And then it registers. Like people know they need to be healthy, but then they wait till they go to the doctor and get a bad doctor's report to change, right? Well, you can have that same effect before you have these negative health consequences by doing your blood work, because you can see how things are trending. Like when I did mine, I had leaky gut too. Some of my cells weren't absorbing all the nutrients properly. My omega-6 was high, like certain things. I go, wow, okay. I thought I was like dialed in, but you don't know until you see the information, the numbers. So that is huge, man. Like getting your blood work done should be an investment that everybody makes once they reach like 35 or 40. Because
it's not like you're going to go broke. It's not like 40 grand. I mean,
well, let's talk about people will spend money to go to football games, on parties, to go out to dinners, to go on vacations. Why are people, some people, not everyone, why is it so hard for them to invest in their health and themselves? And they'll spend money on everything else.
I don't think people want to know. I literally think my father is not going to go to the hospital unless he's like literally on his deathbed. I think a lot of people, they don't want to know. They're like, they don't want it. I don't know why. It's like a lot of people that I know, the business owners don't really look, they look at the bank account. That's how they know if they're healthy or not. They don't look at a balance sheet or income statement. They can't read that. They don't know their profit or loss. They don't know how much they made. They don't have last month closed out. They're just like, if there's money in the account, keep spending. And people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. So I just think the fact is, people, it's not like they don't want it. They know it's just it. Here's the thing, dude. I went and seen Jocko 2 weeks ago for the whole day, and I was with another old school Navy SEAL. And all they talked about is leadership and discipline. And discipline, I said, how do you grow that gene, that discipline gene? They said, get up when your alarm goes off. Listen to the voice. Like at night, you say you want to get up early and do all this stuff, then do it. Stay committed to yourself. Most people don't have any discipline. So you need to start somewhere. But if you don't build up that discipline gene of just getting hard shit done, like if you don't start, it's never going to get better. Like you're screwed. Your life is, it's less than abundant. It's less of where it could have been.
Yeah, because to create success, oftentimes you got to do things when you don't feel like doing them. You're tired, you get up anyway, you're sick, you still go to work. It's been a long day and you still got a couple hours left. Like, and it comes down to something you said a little bit ago that when people don't feel good, they're not inspired and excited about life, they can never be successful, man. Like success to me, Tommy, is more of a feeling than anything else. Like, seriously, I know we want to have a lot of money, we want to have six packs and all this stuff, but it's the way I feel about how I'm living. And I think that can only be done, you just said it, by listening to the voice in your head and doing that work and living in alignment. And then you get the body, build the business, you have the relationships, and it's like you see everything start to improve. But one of the biggest things that I try to educate people on when it comes to health and blood work, it's not just about having an 8-pack or like going to the gym and working out. It's literally your mental health. Like don't you want to wake up excited or feel more gratitude for your life? Don't you want to feel like, damn, this is the best life I could be living? If your hormones are off or your health is depleted, you're not going to ever feel that way.
Right.
You're just like, you're burnt out. And that's one of the things that when you start to feel better and you have more focus, more clarity, more positive thoughts, it's easier to do the work. You know what I mean? It's easier to get up early. It's easier to go crush a workout in the gym. And then you start looking at your life and you realize everything you do is a reflection of how much you actually care. Do I really love myself, or am I just going to make an excuse and eat this shitty food or have this drink? It comes down to those micro decisions. That's how willpower and discipline is formed. It's through those small daily decisions. Every little thing counts, and either it's going to strengthen that muscle or it's going to weaken it. Have you read the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill?
Yeah, no, it's a great book.
It kind of talks about that, right? Like all our small decisions, our micro decisions from a very early age. And people that he calls them drifters, they become drifters in life. That's what I see. I see a lot of people who are just checked out. They get up, they go to work, they come home. They just have those routines, but they're not like alive and thriving. They're just kind of going through the motions in life. I freaking hate that, man. I want to grab those people and just shake them and yell at them and be like, hey, your time is running out. Like, you're not going to get to do this again. Like, what are you doing? Right. I don't think people have that awareness.
I don't think anybody's really taken the time to, I think you got to write things down. So one of my buddies got me a shirt is, of course I talk to myself. Sometimes I need expert advice. And the truth is I talk to myself all day long. Like literally, if you were around me, you'd be like, why is this guy always talking to himself? Like you could hear, if there was like a recording in my shower, it's like a math class. Like the only thing I don't have in there is my calculator, but I'm literally running through numbers in my mind. I think that's what makes success is I'm really numbers driven. It's black and white. Like they get to 7%. Like, what needs to happen. So you take your body fat and you say, I need to get down to this weight. Well, it's got to be a calorie deficiency and I don't want to lose muscle. And over time, 7% is just inevitable. It will happen. There's no chance. It's not like I want to lose weight. No, that's not what I'm saying. I said, I want to get to 7%. And then you pick a date. And that's the deal is right now, the last 3 days, I've weighed 250. So,
hey, real quick, how often when you're traveling do people stop you and make comments about your physique now? Or just day to day?
I got to tell you this, dude. So Brian Davenport is one of the VPs, really amazing guys, worked with me for 7 years with me. and his daughter was over, and I walked out, and she goes, "Oh my God." And Brian's like, "You haven't seen him in a year." And I'm ordering golf, and there's this lady, really nice old lady. Uh, we went golfing on Christmas. Me, my stepdad, my real dad, and my future father-in-law, right? And so I got like 3 dads. And I ordered us salt waters and what everybody else wanted. And this lady had a coffee and a nice tea. And she turns back and she goes, "Oh, wow. Wow." And my dad started laughing. And I'm like, "Look, on the plane." And then one guy's like, I'm like, "Hey, I'm really sorry we missed the turn. We went to the wrong course because we did a shotgun off." And he goes, "If you weren't so huge, I'd come kick your ass." And he was kidding, right?
Yeah.
So it's like all the time. And that's what gets me excited is like, I'll tell you this, dude. I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, look, it's everywhere. It's where I'm going. This is 2025 goals.
Yeah. Geez. I mean,
it's everywhere. I write it down. I'm pasting all my other goals. It's not only body, but I'm pasting it. It'll be in my shower. It'll be in the kitchen. It'll be in my truck. It'll be in my van. It'll be at work. They're going to be everywhere where I can't lose focus.
Yeah. No, I mean, obsession is what it's about. And I like how you talked about talking about it out loud, writing it down. You know, even when you're hearing someone speak, studies show that you'll retain 30% more information just by writing notes down, like at a speech. You know, something about writing your goals down and then talking about them out loud, your brain processes that information differently. Let me ask you this too, and I have a couple questions I want to ask you, but have you heard of the RAS, the reticular activating system, part of your brain? It works as a filter. It's like a bundle of neurons. Ed Milet talks about it a lot.
Yeah,
But
I've heard about it. Yeah.
people need to recognize why it's important to write things down and why it's important to talk about them, because our brain works like a filter, right? And it only shows us things in our environment that are coinciding with our thoughts and our belief system. So most people have the same reoccurring thoughts every day, and they just see the same stuff in their environment and they do the same things. If you want to change, right, you got to start writing your goals down very specifically, talking about it. But all of a sudden, you'll start to recognize things in your environment, whether you're going to the store, you walk into work one day, you start seeing stuff differently. I remember when my wife Jessica got pregnant the first time, I started seeing pregnant women all over the place. And I told her, I was like, "Man, everyone's pregnant right now. What's going on?" And I realized, no, not everyone's pregnant. You just didn't recognize all the pregnant women around you because your wife wasn't pregnant. It wasn't relevant to your life. So that's the reason why, I mean, the more you think about stuff, the more you talk about it, the more you're going to see opportunities to pursue that goal or make that change. It's that simple. By you having that screenshot of like that 12 pack, you're seeing that every day. All of a sudden you're out at lunch and someone has a basket of chips and you're ordering your food. You're like, you're seeing that, right?
Now you look at that and you go, no, it's instant discipline. It's like
you're safeguarding yourself, right? And it's like you have to be your own coach. Everybody has to be their own coach. We want to have mentors. We want to have business coaches. You got to get around the right people. But at the end of the day, it's your own decisions. And like your decisions prove like how bad do you want it? You want to be someone just talking about it or actually like getting the results and living it?
I made sure I put 2020. I just had the abs on there. And I was like, if Bree sees this, she's going to think this is really weird. So I put 2020. I wrote other 2020 goals. But another thing, you mentioned this, but I'm telling you right now, you got to change your circle. You want to go super fast and skip 20 prongs on the ladder. It's so hard when you're not around the right people. You wake up every day and you want to work out with the fucking guy. Excuse my French. That's my goal too in 2025 is no swearing. That's just Freudian. Look, you hang out with a person you know is going to cancel and you know that's going to say, "Hey, should we leave early?" Yes. You want to pick the person that's going to push you. That's going to be like you work better together. You're going to push each other. So be careful who you hang out with. And you can't hang around with alcoholics or guys that want to get high every night. Can't hang out with people that want to commit adultery and go to a strip club all the time. Can't hang out with people that are just treat their kids like crap. That just don't focus on what's in it for my kids. How do they live better? And by the way, if I look at your calendar and your credit cards, I'll tell you where your priorities are. So I just think changing your circle is the easiest, quickest, fastest way. And, you know, I'm ready to go to this superhuman level. And I want to see how far I can take it. But at the same time, I got to be realistic. And that's why I'm just going to go through a few things. I know you got more questions, but I've taken a lot of notes over the last 3 months on kind of what I want to do. And So one of it says break it down. Take your big goal and break it down into 3 to 5 mini goals. Clarity table. Vague goal. I want to be fit. Harvard goal. Lose 10 pounds in 3 months by running 3 times a week. Use if-then statements. If I feel too tired to work out, then I'll walk for 10 minutes instead. Check off your progress. So you build a checklist. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Check. Drink 3 liters of water. Check. Read 10 pages of books. Check. Meditate for 5 minutes. Check. Track your progress every day. Check. So you build a checklist. Use the WHOOP. Wish. Define what you want. Outcome. Visualize its impact on your life. Obstacle. Identify what might stop you. Plan. Prepare a step to overcome it. The 90-day rule. Research highlights 90 days is the sweet spot for goal completion. It's long enough to create momentum, and it's short enough to feel urgent. The compound effect routine. Practice gratitude. Visualize positive things for someone you love. Consider what you can do today to achieve your top goal. Stretch. Read something positive. Work on your top project for an hour. And there's more of this stuff, but the main thing is put boundaries on your time is a big one. And that's another thing, is owning your calendar and really putting stuff on the calendar than actually doing it. A lot of people have started using a calendar, but they don't take it. Like my calendar, if it says go do cardio for 30 minutes, both of my executive assistants put my ass on a treadmill. They know, like, you are going to work out during this time because you said you were. And they hold me accountable because that's what I told them to do. It's not, I'm just going to skip today. No, that's bullshit. So,
well, and that's probably your only time for the day to do it, right? Like you skip it. You're like, oh, I got more important stuff to do. And then your day is full and you don't get your cardio in that day. And later on, you're like, you feel like shit or you wish you would have. But that's so important. The 2 things you said: surround yourself with people that are going to make it easier for you to achieve your goals and be consistent. Like if they're here and you're down there, they're going to pull you up to them. Most people, though, they won't do that. They won't leave their friend circle. They make excuses. They still hang around toxic family members, and it keeps them stuck in life. And that's the thing. Like, okay, you could spend time with them now, but down the road, you're going to look back and wish you would have made a change. Guarantee. Secondly, the calendar is huge. That's like one of the easiest changes that people can make who are not consistent or making certain parts of life a priority that they want to. Let's just take health, for instance. If you really map out your week in advance and you look at it and you go, okay, I can do that. I can carry that day out. I can get up a little earlier, go to the gym, still get all my work appointments, still spend time with my family. Then it's like a realistic and sustainable approach to their goals versus just trying to change all this or just wing it, you know? Some of this is common sense, but people need to like be held down and like forced to do this stuff, right? Like people are stubborn when it comes to change. But you have a really good list of stuff there. It's funny, as you were naming all those things off, I was like, dude, this guy runs a massive business too. Like you had like 25 things on there, right? Of all this stuff you're going to do. And if people are hearing you talk, they didn't know how big your company is and how much you do for your business. Like they would think you were just retired and you had all day long to focus on your health and golf, but that's not the case, man. Like your days are jam packed and you work probably 7 days a week. Honestly, how much did you travel last year too? How many speaking engagements?
Too many. I mean, look, that's another thing is I lose a lot of money when I speak, but it's important to me because that's kind of like my meditation. I've been on at least four plane trips there and back a month. My busiest, I did 9 in a month, nine different flights to different areas and back. But you know, some of those, by the way, A1 is in 43 markets. So I like to see my markets. I mean, there's a good chance when I'm traveling, I'm in one of the markets A1 is in, whether it's Houston, Atlanta, now Orlando, Vegas. I mean, look, we go to a lot of places. I'm in Nashville, you know, so obviously in Phoenix and Tucson here. And whenever I go to California, that's one place that we're not going to be. But I do travel a lot. I'll tell you, my whole philosophy has changed so much, Sean. I've really, this year has been a year that has been a really big growth year mentally for me, is in the fact that I'm no longer having to do all the work. There's certain things, I'm no longer involved in most of the things going on at A1. It's the vision I got to uphold, and my job is to build leaders. My job is to say where are we going to go and how are we going to get there quicker. I am not it's like, listen, you know, there's these owners of these massive teams like the Dallas Cowboys. They don't coach. They're not on the sidelines. They're not calling the plays. but they own the business. They can fire the coach if they're not getting the right results. That was a hard lesson for me to say Tommy doesn't need to do all the work anymore. Now you just got to go be the visionary. You got to go figure out where you're going. So everything I'm focused on now, like A1 is going to hit the goals that we want. Like now more than ever, I've realized, look, we've got so much momentum. I always want to get there faster. That's just my nature. But we're really going into this next year with a lot of momentum. But now I'm like, okay. I mean, even my hair is going to, like, I'm taking this stuff to grow it in way thicker. Like every little thing I'm looking at, I'm about to, on the 17th, I'm going to look at this. It's called a carbon dioxide laser. And it takes out 5 layers of skin. And it grows back in like every single thing that you could think of. If you find something, I'll be going to probably Tijuana in the middle of this next summer for stem cells. Like, look, if you find anything that makes me stronger, better, faster, that's like not going to kill me sooner, I'm in. And if I can be my best self, I want it all. Like, I don't want to say, like, look, I want every possible thing. I want to go to heaven. I mean, that's pretty high up there. I want to make sure my parents are proud of me and my sister, my niece and nephews, and Bree. And look, I want to have fun. And you know, and part of my vision board is like, what do I want to get good at? Like, where do I want to be spending time? Like, I'm not very good at water sports, and I'm going to live on a lake half the time. I'm not very good at snowboarding, and I'm right next to a mountain. So I just, here's an example of the vision board is body, houses, travel, ski, golf, snowboard, bowling, water sports. It's more of watching my mom travel and be happy, watching my dad golf. And I'm sure once I have kids, it'll change dramatically. But, you know, it's not only material things either. You know, it's like, who did I have to become to get to the next level? Because no one could ever take that away. And these are the things that I don't think, Sean, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of business owners. I know a lot of successful people. They don't think like this.
They don't. I was going to ask you right now, how do you stay so inspired like this? Because a couple of things, like people say it's not all about money and materialism is not a good thing. If that's your God, I agree with that. That's not, you have to focus on your entire life. But the business you've built has allowed you to think this way and do all these other things, right? Your health, taking care of your family, building your other home, learning how to do water sports, although you're 250, man. You might have to go into a cut to be like wakeboarding and shit. Hey, but how do you stay so inspired? Like, that's the key right there is I know a lot of people that are just stressed and they have businesses, they have money, but they don't talk the way you do. Like, what's the secret to staying inspired? If you could sum it up for someone to really absorb and understand, what would you tell them?
Well, I know with guys like you. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm buddies with Dr. J. He's introduced me to good people. You are always, every guy you hang out with is in shape. And, you know, you post a lot of motivational things. You know, I see Lance Bachman, every time he texts me, he's in a sauna. Ishmael started to get in shape. You know, Travis Ringy's in shape. I had to change my circle. That was a big, big, big deal. And just being around people that are motivating, like that want more out of life, that continue to push to this next level. So that's a big deal. And I'm very thankful, but never content. I'll never say I've reached, even when I hit 7%, it's not going to be like, that day feels good, right? I get that. Like, you're happy that day. But then the next thing is, okay, how do I feel at 7%? And maybe I hit my goal percentage of fat. I don't want to go down to 5%. I know that. But then it might be, okay, you know, you want to get your calves bigger and you want to get your biceps a little, like, look, I'm always going to have a next goal. That's the thing is, like, Arnold was never like, I won Mr. Olympia 5 times in a row. I'm done now. I mean, he chose to go after acting, but he stayed in shape, until he hit 75 years old. So I just, at everything I'm doing, I'm moving forward. And even the money, I'm like, look, I want $500 million after taxes and everything's paid off. In 2.5 years, that's what I want in the bank. I want $500 million. Every single thing in my life is paid off, and it's earning 50% IRR. Yeah. And I will never touch the principal amount. all I think about is living off which 75 million a year. If you do the math, it's a good number and we can do better than that. But then it's like, okay. And by the way, I'll still own a large percentage of A1 before we go public. So, and what does that do? It helps everything. Helps my fitness because I'll be working out with the best machines and the latest technology ever. It helps. It's my faith. I can contribute and tithe and help build churches and go on missions and really help out the world.
Yeah. Hey,
family,
real quick. Keep going. Keep going. Dude, I like the way that you talk about this stuff. I'm going to tell you what it reminds me of. When I was in prison and I would just sit there locked up all day long with nothing to do, and I started going through this spiritual transformation, my mind would race the same way that you're speaking about all the stuff you want to do in your life, giving back money, helping people. Like that's the way my mind would race. And I would just think about all the possibilities in life. It's really special though when you meet somebody who can consistently keep that level of inspiration and desire in their lives, because the stress of life oftentimes beats that out of people. You know what I mean? Like you have good intentions going into building a business, and then years later you're all beat down and jaded and disgruntled. You see that happen to a lot of people, right? So it's really cool to see how excited you are when you say like I'm just getting started. I fully believe it. And I didn't want to cut you off there, but a couple things you said, like being grateful but never content, I think is the key. It doesn't mean you're just greedy. It's like it's the complete opposite. You're like, what else can I experience and do? Like, how far can I take this thing? It's a world where there's no limitations. And that's the reason I love the gym so much. But just last week, I went to the gym and I was doing the hack squat and I hit 12 reps with like the maximum amount of weight that I normally push. I've never done 12. I've got to 11, never 12. So that day I went in the gym as Sean, 2.0 or whatever. I left the gym an evolved, superior version of myself. Like that's the power of training every day, is you literally can evolve day by day and become a superior version of who you were the day before. And I think people don't recognize that, what it can do for your mindset, the ability to envision the possibilities, and you're always breaking through these barriers and limitations. Like every day, like you're saying, you just ordered 140 and 150-pound dumbbells because you're repping the 130s like nothing. But that is a catalyst for how you think about life in other areas, right? Your relationships, your business. All of a sudden, you're like thinking about money you can donate or a nonprofit you could start, because you see that anything is possible as long as you have a plan, you reverse engineer it, and you execute. And then there's nothing that you can't really achieve if you have that mindset.
My team got me this bracelet. It says, ruthlessly prioritize, stay focused, and run. And that's what they tell me all the time. They're like, you just let us handle that. Stay focused. We got that. Stay focused. It's hard because sometimes I know I can do things better than other people. I really do. Like, this is my life. I know garage doors, right? But they're like, no, we got this. And so, look, this maturity, this growing has been so hard for me. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys are you sure you know what I want? And they're like, yeah, even if it's not as good as you can do it, we're going to get it done on your timeline. And you're going to be happy. And sometimes 80%, I always say perfection is the enemy of progress. And I think that's why most people don't get started, is they don't look. The hardest part, what's crazy, Sean, is everyone's going to get started. You know how the gyms become in January, and everybody, it's like they're, and it's kind of fun. I don't mind going in with this pack because I can sit and do cardio. I go to this gym down the street called Mountainside. I got the trainer that's local. It's a private gym. We've got A1's gym, which is badass, which we're expanding, and it's going to be really nice gym, really nice gym. And then I got the gym over here at the house, and it's small. It's cardio, cold plunge, sauna. But I like variety too. And I like, what I like? I like to walk around the neighborhood. The further I walk in one direction, I got to walk back. Yeah. Whereas the treadmill, you could just get off. You know what I mean? So I like variety. And I'll tell you this, man, if you could just go walk, just do something. Like most people, I look at people and now I kind of look at them like something's wrong with them when they're not in shape. Like they don't love themselves. They're not motivated. They're not like literally. They're not somebody necessarily I want to do business with.
I mean, it's the truth. It's a symptom of a deeper rooted issue. Like I tell people all the time, like, God, if I was overweight and I let myself go, like, how could you look in the mirror day after day and not get fired up to change? Because, but it's a symptom of something deeper. They're broken in a way, or they've developed these bad habits. You got to address that. You got to address like, why do I not care about myself? Why am I not taking care of my health? It's the same as like somebody who's drinking too much. They just chose food. I look at it that way, and I don't get mad at people or ever want to body shame someone. If it's a guy that I know will get fired up by being challenged, I'll challenge him. But I look at those individuals like, okay, we need to help them. We need to figure out why they're stuck. Why don't they care about themselves enough? And let's figure this out. Because it is. I mean, it truly is the same as someone who's drinking too much or smoking weed. They're numbing something out, you know. Um, and like in business, a lot of I see the same symptoms, especially guys who are working their ass off and building their companies. They start to gain weight because they're neglecting their health and they're getting a little older, so their bodies are changing, and they're drinking too much to combat the stress at night. So they drink too much, they don't exercise, they eat whatever they can on the go, and they're falling apart slowly but surely. We
Yeah.
can fix all those things by just simply getting up early, going to the gym, and being mindful of what you're eating. Like that's the foundation right there, and it's life changing for a lot of people.
What do you weigh these days, Sean?
I was 215. I'm 206 now. I dropped some weight. I was
You're
like,
206?
yeah, yeah. I
How
got
tall are you?
right under 6 foot.
Dude, I weigh 45 pounds more than you.
Yeah. Well, when I saw you, you're huge. When I saw you, not last, but the time before, I was like 220. I was eating everything in sight. I gained like 30 pounds, and a lot of it was muscle. It's hard to eat that much every day. So I
I
kind of
know.
gave my body a break, and then I'm gonna go back into a surplus. I want to walk around at 225 at my goal. I wrote down 225, 7% body fat. It was 5%, but like damn, dude, that's hard. 5% body fat. But it's so important to have like those goals that you write down. The coolest thing is the other day I was in my office and there was this piece of paper on the desk and I pulled it over and it said like 215 at 8% body fat, get your wife pregnant, like new home, build a team for unstoppable. And I must have wrote that stuff all last year at this time. And I was like, dude, I did all that.
All of
I
them are done.
checked all those boxes. And
Yeah.
it's a good feeling, right? I just happened to find that paper and I was like, damn, like I did all those things. And I like to set goals. I'm setting goals for this year. I'm excited for 2025. I like the fact that it's a new year because it's like a reset in a way.
It
Like
is.
I'm not somebody that I don't need New Year's resolutions or anything, but I like measuring my progress. I like writing stuff down and attacking my day until it's become a reality. It's just a great feeling. Um, that's how you keep inspiration high too, is you have those detailed goals, they're meaningful to you, and you give everything you got to achieve them. When you achieve that outcome, it's an amazing feeling. And the more that you do that, the more capable you realize you are. And you set bigger goals and you dream bigger. And that's how you just go out and create a life of abundance right there. But for like the man or woman watching this, if you can't get your ass out of bed and you don't have a strong enough reason why, or you can't find discipline to eat healthier, like when you look at your kids' faces or loved ones and you can't discipline yourself with your food, like you're not going to ever get that feeling Tommy and I are talking about. It starts with those bare basics, man. You got to be able to execute those.
I am like, look, here's the deal. Figure out what your Achilles heels are. If it's social media, do not leave those on your home screen. Okay. And do something to like measure and like look. Do something to just set a small goal. If it's the little nicotine things you hit, like I was doing Zen for a while. And Bree's like, she showed me some stuff. You should stop. Boom. She didn't believe me. Like I just stopped. Never did them again. Just stopped. And like another one for me is it's kind of embarrassing. It's Fox News. Because I'm really, really watching what's going on out of me.
You got to watch X, right? Like Twitter. Like, because you could just scroll through real quick, get your news.
Twitter's great. And so is the Wall Street Journal and the Economist. So I'm able to get a lot there. And here's a deal I made with myself. You can watch as much Fox News as you want, but it's got to be on the treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
That's a win-win. Yeah. If I want to watch, If I watch 2 hours, that's 2 hours of cardio.
Yeah. It's so easy to create scenarios like that. Like most people are like all or nothing, right? Either they're gonna binge watch stuff. They don't like you got to be creative in the way that you figure out how to keep yourself on track or how to get what you want and get your results too. Like in a perfect world, people would be able to eat chocolate cake and pizza and burgers and be shredded. Well, if you really wanted to, you could eat food like that and still get shredded. But it takes focus. You got to do the research. You got to track your macros. Like there's always a way to kind of have a little bit of both. But I like the way you're thinking. It's like it's not like a life where you're depraved, right? You could still have things that you enjoy and do work to achieve your goals simultaneously.
That's it,
Hey,
man. You got to find a balance somehow. I think a lot of people forget. The 2025 for me is literally like there's nothing great happening in 2025. There's some cool trips. There's some, but like Jesse Itzler, I got this thing called the Big Ass Calendar,
I
and I'm
got that.
looking at it. Lots of great things going on. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I got a house getting done in 2026. I think I'll flip 3 different businesses, including A1. Still have ownership in the business. I've got just some really like I'm looking forward to 2025. I just view as like, look, when 2026 happens, you're going to be a machine. You're going to be a Navy SEAL. You're going to be shredded. You're going to be more red than anybody you know. The business is going to go 50%. You're going to be like, dude, everything is going to be dialed. This is my 2025 was amazing. It's set up 2024 set up 2025. But this is the year I'm just like, you know what? It's tunnel vision. It's like you just go to this next level. And I want to go. Like so many people are like, dude, I'm like, you have not seen nothing yet. Like it's not even close to where I'm going.
Yeah, I love it. I got some questions I want to ask you real quick. First one, give me 2 books that I should read in the next quarter.
Oh, this is tough. Well, I think if I had to give you the book that's the most important, these 2 books by Robert Cialdini is Persuasion and Influence. If you
Yeah.
master
How do you spell his name? How do you spell his name?
it's CIA. Cialdini. Hold on, let me see.
Cialdini? Is he
Yeah,
Italian?
yes, no, he's actually going to dinner with them on Monday. Robert
Oh,
Cialdini.
geez.
So
Oh, Cialdini.
Cialdini.
Okay. Caladini.
And then you mentioned some, but the classics, How to Win Friends and Influence People,
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich are 2 great books.
I think it's good to keep reading those, right? Like read them more than once.
Read them more often. I think the E-Myth Revisited is a great book, but I'm reading a lot of books right now on saying no, on prioritization, on focus, on literally like it's hard for me to say no to people, even to speaking engagements. Like, look, dude, my job is not to get rich from speaking. So it's all the books and dude, here's the deal. I don't order one book. I order every book on concentration I can find. And then I just fly through them. And I just bought a nightlight. So when Bree's asleep, I can be reading. And like I get the highlighter and my EAs, like I'll put the pages on the back that I really like, then we'll summarize them. So like I'm getting dialed. I'm getting super dialed. And I'm just really focused on what is the biggest thing I need help with? If it's discipline, then buy every book you can find on discipline. Read 10 books a day. 10 minutes a day. And watch what happens within a couple months. As long as
and
you're
also
able to do the
I tell
work.
people like carry a book around with you, and when you go to check your phone on social media, like grab the book instead because it's a habit, right? You're at home and the kids are playing, you're sitting on the couch, everyone's just scrolling on their phone. Like your book's right there. Or at night, instead of scrolling on your phone, get the little reading lamp and read 10 pages. It adds up so quickly. But that's one of the key characteristics of successful people is they're always curious and wanting to learn more. It's like you want to. It's a passion of yours. It's exciting. That's the same mentality as like going out into the unknown and pursuing your dreams. Okay. I got 3 questions I want to ask you. I want you to give me dates for when these things are going to happen. 3 things. Okay. Number 1 is when are you going to become a billionaire? Number 2 is when are you getting married? And number 3 is when are you having kids?
Huh. All right. Well, billionaire will be so So by January of 2027, I will have $1 billion. It'll still be, some of it will still be tied into A1, but cash should be with assets under management without A1, like just my houses and buildings and everything. I should have about 700 million, and then I'll have another 500 million in A1, and then marriage. Something I'm working on right now. I kind of wanted to do it at the same time A1 is going to be turning. And going up to that date, obviously I'll be engaged. I mean, I guess there's 3 things. You start with an engagement ring, and then you go to the wedding ring, and then you go to the supper ring. No, I'm kidding.
You're all reverse engineering that, yeah. Do you talk about that with Bree, or is it something that you're keeping private?
Well, right, there's something coming up here pretty quick.
Okay.
But I want to, I want to have kids. I talk about all this stuff, but that's like the 10th wonder of the world, the most important thing on the planet, right? Like, or the 8th wonder, whatever you want to call it. But it's one of those things. I'm really worried just because, like, man, they're so, like, I know you could drop them, and I'm not worried about me dropping them. I'm just worried, like, man, it's somebody else you got to worry about. Like, here's the deal: I worry about a lot of people, but I'm like, my God, it's like every little thing. It's just the stress level. I don't know. It's like I trust people, but I'm just worried. I don't know. I'm just worried about like, and I'm not worried about myself. I'm not worried about how I'm going to be. I'm more worried about the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think timing's a key factor, but also knowing you and everything we discussed today, I think it would enhance every aspect of your life that you already described. Just like seeing how you operate and react to life events. I think it would. I think it would take everything for you to the next level. But it's timing. And it is a crazy world. I got 2 young ones. An older boy is 14 and another child on the way. And I think about it all the time. But it's motivation for me. Being a father, a leader, a man is an honor and a responsibility. And we need to do it the right way so that we can create a better world for our children. But I know that'll come, and I want to hit you with those questions because I just want to see how you'd respond. And it's exciting, man. 2027 is coming quick, and you're building a fucking empire. You already have. I'm grateful to be friends with you and get to witness it firsthand. And guys like you, and I have like personal clients I work with too who are successful business owners. I get to learn a lot from you guys by listening to you, seeing how you run your operations. Obviously, my business is not a brick and mortar, or I'm not in the trades, but the way you run a business is very similar. It doesn't matter what you're selling or offering. It's the systems, the operations are very similar. So I've learned a lot just observing you in these conversations. I've learned a lot from a lot of guys. Like Josh Taylor, Josh Kelly. I talk to him often. There's a handful of guys. So it's really cool. You talked about earlier, like expanding your circle, always being around people that you can learn and grow from. Staying excited.
Personal brand. Look, I'm telling you right now, you're doing the right thing. You're building your personal brand. I can't tell you enough. People are like, why do you do social media? Why do you do paid ads? Why do you do, like, look, when you grow the following, I think I'm a humble person. I think I've been fortunate, and I've had enough discipline to be successful. Wait till 2.0 comes out. And the deal is like, I want to 100x my following just because, look, I've already manifested everything going to happen in 2027 to 2026, really. What's next after that? Well, I want to invest in people that I enjoy. Like, it's got to be easy, lucrative, and fun. And if there's easy, lucrative, and fun opportunities all around me because of my personal brand, I call somebody, they answer, and if I can make a win-win happen, The Art of the Deal, Donald Trump wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. Make a win-win. Yep. If I can make 100 win-win deals happen, I mean, look, focus on your personal brand. It's the best tip I could ever give anybody. People, this is a podcast. It's probably not a very popular podcast. You haven't been doing it very long. I started in 2017. Yeah. So, yeah, I've been overnight success on my podcast of 8 years. Yeah. Right now it's number 6 in the country for business because I stayed committed. And that's the deal, is that when I stayed committed, I never missed one episode. And we're starting a second podcast. and it's going to be super fun. And I think I'm going to like this one just as much as the home service one.
What is
So
it called, and what's the premise of it?
it's called the Millionaire, and it's all about people that made $1 million. And I'll have you on there. I know you've done 1 million. It talks about their first million and just the success that they've hit, and what keeps them driven. And for me, it's always been about what do I get to learn, and this is something that's fun. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy listening to it. And it's not only home service. And I'm really going to dial in the home service experts to make sure it's only home service, because I've kind of expanded the reach on that. So we want to get a little bit more dialed. And
Yeah. What you said about the personal brand
what's that?
is so key though. You know who Bradley is. You're on his podcast, and like he's grown a really successful personal brand on Instagram. And he was saying the same thing. He was in Marco Island at the event, at Lance's event, but he was saying the same thing. Like with the personal brand, people are just always reaching out with opportunities, and you have to go through some of these deals, but eventually you find those easy, lucrative, fun deals where you're always just getting involved in other businesses and these other ventures because of the exposure. Like for you, you should probably just drop a chunk of dough and some ads and just massively grow that following over the next couple of years.
We are.
Yeah.
This next year will grow dramatically. The fact is, listen, it's who, not how, right? So I've hired the whole crew. I've got a family office. One thing that I've learned is that's a great book if you want to read a great book.
I read that. I love that book. Yeah.
But the deal is I've built a team. I got 30 people in the family office. I've got a whole social media team that's really great. We've got a whole Elena that just came on full time to run the podcast. And so I'm getting a publicist. I'm putting the right people in place to build what I want. And then we're going to set goals. And we're going through. And we're going to set, all the goals I want for all this stuff now that the team's built. And then this to me is like, the main thing that sparked me to say this is, Bradley, you got to say no. Every opportunity that comes your way right now, Sean, say no to. The only way I say yes is if I have somebody to go run it, because nothing even comes close to being the CEO of A1. So unless I have a team, see, Richard Branson did not invest in a lot of companies. He focused on one. It overflowed into so many other opportunities because he could hire the top person to go run that business and focus on it. I think the biggest mistake people make is they go, oh my God, my buddy's flipping houses. We could do that too. But then you lose from the core.
Yeah, the shiny object
time from the main thing to give to this.
Yeah.
And that's hire somebody. It doesn't make any sense.
You're so right. Like the shiny object syndrome, right? And people are like, oh, you need side hustles. Like, no, you need to focus on the main thing till it becomes. You said it perfectly. It becomes so big, it spills over into all these other things. Like for me with Unstoppable, I mean, what's next? A supplement line, clothing line. Like that's what you mean is you make the main thing so big that these naturally, like these extensions derive from it. And getting a brick and mortar out there in Arizona near you with Dr. J so that we can start doing things like stem cells and stuff like that for people that want that in-service treatment. There's a lot of cool things that I'm excited for this next year. And
you guys are grinding, man. You've shared with me quite a bit on the back end of just the growth is, if you continue to grow month over month and year over year, you wake up one day and you're like, man, this business is worth a lot of money. But here's the one thing. Don't ever stop enjoying the process and the progress you're making every day, because if you fall in love with the progress more than the destination, a lot of people they're so like me. I'm very excited about where we're headed in the destination. But man, like wake up and smell smell the roses and live for today and enjoy it to the fullest, because man, I'll tell you, John Rowland, giftology, tomorrow's not promised.
Yeah.
And it happens so quick, and you just never know it. You don't know when mom and dad are going to go. You don't know, car accident, anything could happen. And I hate to say that, but it's the world we live in.
It's true. And if you have that attitude, you make each day count that much more. It truly is about the process. I'm very fortunate, Tommy. I still get excited to go like work out really hard and get up early and read my book. Like I get excited for that stuff. I like to learn. I like to grow. I like to feel like I'm making each second of my day count. I don't want to look back on a single moment and think, dude, I could have been better in that conversation, or better in that workout, or better in that, in that endeavor. Like I want to be the best version of me every second of every day. And that's like, in this interview right here, this conversation we're having, you're really drawing insight to what it means to be a winner in life. There's a lot of stuff in here that we touched on that describes the winning mentality, how to keep going, how to get bigger and better results. And, Ed Milet uses this term, blissfully dissatisfied. It's the same thing as being grateful and never content. It's like, yeah, I'm really excited to be here with you talking. I'm excited for the growth that we acquired in 2024. It doesn't mean that I'm going to not show up tomorrow or going into 2025. I want to win even bigger. I want to see what I can produce in 2025. I want to see how much more growth we can have. And for me, man, it's everything. It's for my family. It's for my children, getting my children into the best school, making sure I'm taking care of my wife and treating her the way she deserved to be treated. Same with clients, team members. It's across the board, and being organized, being around the right people, having a powerful why. All those things are so key to being able to show up day in and day out and love the process of who you're becoming. So, dude, I appreciate your time. I know that your time is super valuable and you provided tons of insight here. Any last things you want to share about what we talked about today?
Well, you've helped me out a lot, and I really appreciate that you stayed pretty. You had a lot of tenacity when it came to just hanging out and talking on my stages. And the introductions you've made, the people, it's like you fit right in like a brother. I don't like the same circle that I was always used to, whether it's Dan Antonelli or Lance Bachman and the guys that we hang out with, Tom Howard, and a lot of the same circle. So it's cool that we get to see each other all the time. You've helped me along the journey as far as just unstoppable. So I'm really excited just going into next year and you pushing me. You call me all the time. You text me. You make sure I'm pushing myself, which is very helpful because you've been a big motivator. I'll tell you one other thing just real quick is part of me wanted to be successful is Luke lost 35 pounds. He's getting married in January. Brian's never been in better shape. Bree lost 35 pounds as well. Yeah. Everybody around me, Dan Antonelli's pushing himself harder than he ever pushed. He sends me every time he bench presses or does leg squats or anything. Like, here's my main hallway of C-suite VPs and different people, directors in the company, all have decided to get into the best shape of their lives because they saw that I did it. When I am fortunate enough to make this money we talked about, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with the money, but I've got a massive list of how many people I want to help and push them forward and invest in their dreams and teach a man to fish. I've thought more about the people I want to help than what I'm going to do with it. And the list keeps getting longer. So people might say, man, this guy's super selfish and self-centered, but that's not it at all. There's such a bigger goal for me to go for. And so many people I want to push forward. And a lot of them I don't need to. A lot of them I do. And it's not my responsibility yet. I feel like if I could do it, I will. So there's a lot of things that I just want people to start thinking about. But write stuff down. Start whiteboarding. Start putting it on your calendar and obeying the calendar. And here's the last thing I'll say, Sean, is when you can't trust yourself, that's when you've lost in life. When you say you're going to do something and you tell your brain, we're going to work out today at 3 p.m. or I'm going to go do 30 push-ups. And you start ignoring yourself and your conscience in that voice. That's when you've lost everything. Because when your brain knows that you're not honest and it starts disregarding the things that you tell yourself, it's all gone. You've lost it all. Now, every once in a while, yes, you change your mind and something happens. That's when you got to have, then I'm just going to do a 10-minute walk real quick. But do not allow yourself to stop trusting yourself.
Yeah, that is key. That's how you start to build success, keeping the promises to yourself and start small and build big over time. If there's somebody listening to this who you haven't worked out in years, you're overweight, you're drinking, whatever it is, you're not going to change your life overnight. Start by winning this day. What does that look like? It's amazing, Tommy, how much momentum and how much confidence and competence you develop over time by stacking those wins and keeping those promises to yourself. Like you build this sense of like, man, I can go out and achieve anything, but it takes years. It takes years, whether it's your business, your relationships, your health. That's the key though to success, man, is believing in yourself and keeping those daily promises. So let's end with that. Appreciate everything that you shared, the personal stuff, the goals. This was like a freaking masterclass on how to crush it for 2025. So appreciate you, brother, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
I appreciate you, my man.